and welcome to the first ever installment of Aweh, It's Football. Recognize that comma. Firstly. So, this is a podcast debating football, European football, in particular today, English Premier League. I don't know everyone's names, so I'm going to ask them to introduce themselves, starting with you, sir.
My name is Nick, Man United fan, Umala, had to fight.
I'm Anza here, famous Chelsea supporter.
I'm Rain Budal, United fan through and through since youngins.
Wade, ja, Gunners, ja.
My name's John, United born and bred.
And I am a Liverpool supporter, Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain. Anyways, so all COVID protocols were adhered to. Alright. So we didn't have enough budget for an iPad, so I think we got an exam pad over here. So don't worry about it. So we're going to get into these questions now. And I'm going to start with you, John. Which EPL team had the best transfer window thus far and why?
It's a tough one actually, because the United fan in me would say United if we had that CDM signing. Because obviously it's a desperate position the club needs. If we get that CDM before the end of this transfer market, that way we've got all our targets, and I would definitely say United because we needed those three positions. We needed a centre back, we needed a right winger, and hopefully if the CDM comes through, it will be United. But as it stands for me, it's Aston Villa. Although they signed Grealish, they've reinvested that money superbly. Guys are bringing in Danny Ings, Leon Bailey, Eddie Buendia from Norwich, who's actually a pretty quality player. He's gone unnoticed in the Championship last season. And then obviously Axel Swansby to reinforce the back. So for me, it has to be Villa.
Villa it is. You good, sir?
I have to say, value for money, it's got to be United at the moment. But in terms of challenging for silverware, I have to say Chelsea. I think their signings have put them a class above the rest of the league. Signing, basically. Lukaku coming in. It's a bit ironic that he left for so little and came back for so much, though. So, yeah.
Mr. Famous Chelsea fan. I don't know what makes him famous, but
The famous Chelsea.
the famous Chelsea. Okay, you go ahead.
I think for me, I'll also concur with Nick and John and say it's United. I think they've solved their problem areas, bar the central defensive mid. But in terms of central defense, they've got that sorted and creativity up front. So I think they'll fare well, having finished second last season. So.
All right, and Mr. Thomas Muller that missed.
So look, I think at the moment United, like John said, we do need the CDM. So if that does take place, I'd agree with us making the most pivotal signings. But for the most part, I like Leicester's signings. They made sure they got their positions filled real quick. The signings that they have made, like of also decent quality from the leagues that the lads have come from. But at the same time, for the future, they like the signings they've made, they've got it going. Yeah. So I think, in my opinion, Leicester made some really good signings.
Great. Yeah. And Mr. Brentford, Arsenal.
Let me ask you something, guys. How many of you all have seen Captain America: The Winter Soldier? The best Marvel movie.
No.
Right? In that movie, Zola's algorithm looks at people's past to predict the future. So who had the best signing? Chelsea. Why did they have the best signing? The one player that was probably criticized the most in the Premier League last season was Timo Werner. Naturally, you look at your weaknesses and what you can improve. They get Lukaku. Now, I know a lot of us are on the fence here as to whether or not Lukaku is world class. But what I do believe is that when you look at Chelsea as a squad, look at the players that they also have coming back from loan. Bakayoko's coming back from loan, Drinkwater's coming back on loan, Barkley's coming back from loan, and none of them are yet to be pushed out. I think Zappacosta's even coming back from loan. All around, that squad has to be holistically the best squad in the Premier League. You have Werner and Lukaku as strikers, you got Ziyech, Mount, Havertz.
Depth.
You got depth of the highest order. In the midfield alone, Jorginho, Kante, now you got Barkley coming back, Drinkwater coming back, you still got Kovacic over there. Defense, you got experience, Thiago Silva, and I think that when essentially you look at the Chelsea team, led by Tuchel, that is the only reason I say Chelsea had a better transfer window than Manchester United. There are two reasons I can't put Man United there. Number one, they didn't sack Ole. That's the biggest reason. Because
transfer news.
no, and number one, they didn't sack Ole. And number two, they didn't get a CDM. And I'm not saying you need to get like the best CDM in the world, Casemiro. I'm saying
Kante.
what you need to do is a guy like Idrissa Gueye, Ndidi,
Solid.
get him in there,
Solid.
and it brings the best out of Pogba because Pogba's at his best when he's attacking.
Nice.
Neves.
Now,
If
Ole,
Ole-
I know some people are Ole in, some people are Ole out, but the track record speaks for itself, and that's why I go back to Zola's algorithm. It looks at people's past to predict their future. 4 semi-finals, 4 losses, and a Europa League loss against the 7th place Villarreal. You can't have such a good squad and be led by someone who has a track record of consistent losses. Don't trust the process. It doesn't work here. Right? This is Manchester United, the biggest club in England. So, best transfer window, Chelsea FC. Could have been United, but unfortunately they didn't address their flaws. It's a toxic relationship, you know. It's like going back to your ex.
I want to counter that because the reason being is for someone who holds someone like Rafael Varane in such a high esteem, you think Lukaku's a better signing?
No, but I look at Lukaku in the context of what Chelsea required. If I look at Man United...
It's a yes or no question.
No, it's not a yes or no question. Don't do that. Don't do that. I'm on the set.
I'm finished.
I'm on the set. I think that with Varane, it makes Man United arguably the best back four in the Premier League. Maguire, Varane, Shaw, Bissaka. But I do believe that United have a flaw when you look at the whole team. Because we need a defensive midfielder for Pogba. You could even make a case that they don't have necessarily... I mean, I love Cavani. But is he, the Cavani that he was at PSG or Napoli? We can throw that into debate. Mm-hmm. If you look at Chelsea as a squad, Lukaku gets injured, they can put in Werner. Varane goes out, who are you going to put in? Bailly. That man is more injured than he is playing.
They say Jones is the future.
Lindelof, how many times, and I don't like doing this, but how many times to cover up for Maguire's bad performances did Lindelof take the blame?
That's a fair
Not
question, eh?
How many times United fans do that? Because, Maguire's English, 80 million,
Yes.
biggest signing, in a centre back in history.
I'm sorry, I'll counter that because when Maguire has a bad game, no one is shy to point it out.
But that's why.
But-
The thing is, Lindelof has had a lot more bad games.
But there's more protection of Maguire than there is Lindelof.
I would not do it.
No.
He's white and he's English, bro.
He's English, bro.
I mean,
The
last
fact that he's
season,
English, he gets ripped apart.
Well, he gets more
I
protection.
just want to pose a question too. You said that Chelsea's got the most depth in the Premier League, right, in terms of quality. I want to ask you, you're throwing Man City aside in that regard?
My thing is about... Actually, finish.
I was just saying because Man City's got quality, like 2 full teams of stars. It's not like you've got a subpar substitute to bring on. It's not like, Chelsea, some of the guys are unproven. Mount I'm cautious about. Havertz has stepped up a lot lately. But he's not proven in the Premier League, whereas you look at City's team and they've got proven players throughout that squad. The second 11 are proven players.
100%.
I do believe that when you look at Guardiola came in 2017, 2018. Actually, it was 2016, 2017 because he lost his first season to Antonio Conte. Now, I think when you look at the Man City squad vis-a-vis the Chelsea squad, Lampard said that we need to give this Chelsea team time because they're not ready to compete. Tuchel came in and won the Champions League. When you say these players are not proven, they've won the most prestigious club competition in football. And now they've just recently won the UEFA Super Cup. I think when you look holistically, as I prefaced it consistently in my debates, top down, Chelsea have the most squad depth. Who's the striker for Man City? Who's the striker for Man City?
I'll just chip in there. I think what Nick was trying to say is that in terms of quality in depth is where Man City are obviously a bit above us. Because in our depth we have the likes of Zappacosta, Bakayoko, and Werner.
But there's also
it's not as quality as
but
Man
you see,
City's depth.
City don't actually have an out-and-out world-class striker. I know Jesus is a good player. But if they don't get Harry Kane and they go another season where they play without a striker, can you actually see Man City doing the same thing where they play the false nine and winning the Champions League? No, you
But
can't.
be careful. I just asked a question about whether or not you think their depth is as good as City.
I do.
I wasn't talking about league wins
City.
or
I do.
Champions
I
League.
do.
I'm just saying
Sorry.
that the quality of City's depth is second to none at the moment.
But remember, I think Pep also said in a recent interview that there's 6 to 7 players that actually want to leave, one of them being Bernardo Silva. So until the transfer window closes, that depth might actually change quite drastically.
knows?
You're up, mate.
But
And
just
on that
touching
point,
on-
I
yes,
think
yes.
we should swiftly
Move
move
on,
along.
no problem.
Second question, right? A signing that people should keep an eye out on. Let's start with you, sir.
Okay, no problem.
Thomas
so,
Muller?
so I think signings to watch out for. I did mention that Leicester made some good signings, but because I like Daka and the fact that he's African, and he proved himself in the league he came from, not just small numbers, it was double digits, and he was an influential oak back at his old club. So I think coming into a Leicester side that is where they are and how good they're playing, I think he's one to watch out for. It's a very not unpopular, but it's not the most popular opinion. But I think he'll be good. Yeah.
Quite an abstract player, it seems.
Yeah.
Who was he signed from?
He was from, Leipzig, the Red Bull franchise.
Oh, yeah.
From Salzburg.
Oh, Salzburg,
Yes.
Austria.
Yes, Zambian, if I'm not mistaken.
And John, signing.
Yeah, this is the United in me. Although I think there's going to be a lot of pressure on Jadon Sancho's shoulder, it has to be Sancho for me. Reason being is United have waited almost fucking. Sorry, excuse the language.
That was last year's season.
That's the stress. That's the stress that this club puts on our shoulders. I'm sorry. We waited almost a season and a half for this guy to be signed. It was meant to be done in January. It was meant to be done in the transfer season before that, before last season even begun. It never happened. Now finally we've got it over the line for slightly less money than we originally paid. I still think we probably overpaid in the end with add-ons, etc. Which will put a lot of pressure on his shoulders. But for me, you have to look out for him. He's a skillful player. Technically, he's sound. He can play the 1-2s. He can take up space. He can put the final ball in. Yeah, he's not the typical pacey winger that's going to run down the flanks. But we needed a player like him to help someone like Wan-Bissaka on, because Wan-Bissaka hasn't had a partner on that right flank since he began at United. He's had different players there. James, even Musters featured in there sometimes. The guy always takes so much pressure on because he doesn't attack enough, but he's got no support on that right flank. He's almost on his own half the time. So with Sancho and the quality I honestly believe he has, even though someone like Southgate for somehow didn't see it, I think he's got to be one to look out for. Although my second shout will probably be Leon Bailey coming from Liverpool in there.
That is a big one, eh?
Mr. Brentford.
I may wear the Yar Gunners Yar shirt, but for me, the signing of the season, and I'm not talking, let's just leave Lionel Messi to PSG out of this. Premier League. It has to be Rafael Varane. The value Manchester United got the player for, and what he comes in. It is debatable that given that Varane, 2 league titles, 4 Champions League titles, 3 of which were in a row, by merit and achievement, he walks in as the best centre-back in the league. Now, I think it's Van Dijk. I still think Van Dijk is the best in the league, but by merit and achievement, you make the case that this is the best centre-back in the league. Why I say he's the signing to look out for is because the great Sir Alex Ferguson, second greatest manager of all time, once said, attack wins you games, defence wins you titles.
Yes.
So, you look at this Manchester United team, and if you were to build from the back, Varane comes in and with Maguire makes him the best centre-back pairing in the league. Straight up makes them the best centre-back. You look at the back 4 and you could say arguably they may have the best back 4 in the league. Shaw left back, Bissaka right back, the Maguire-Varane partnership. And I think Varane brings something that you could make the case only Pogba, somewhat De Gea or Fernandes really brought world-class experience to Manchester United. A player who's won at the highest level. Brings that world-class winning mentality to Man United. I think it's a fabulous signing. Quite frankly, was shocked when Man United even managed to get him. I thought he would have gone to PSG or Bayern Munich.
Ramos.
I was quite shocked. Manchester United got for
No one
Varane.
saw that coming.
No one really saw that coming. So
We were in for him when he was still a lighty, to be quite honest. So now,
but I think it's contextual. If you look, United paid 80 million for Maguire, and then they got Varane for such a good deal at the time when he's won everything there is to win.
I'm gang.
And I actually thought Real Madrid would fight harder to hold him because they got Alaba and they lost Ramos. So I'm thinking, okay, Alaba, Varane, that'll be a great centre-back partnership. And then they let him come to United. I think United did individually the best bit of business with that particular signing.
I agree with
How old is Varane?
28.
28.
That's still prime.
Prime years, bro.
Still prime.
Hans, yours?
Mine, I think I'll just go for an unpopular opinion and say Brian Gill for Tottenham.
Nice, yes.
Yeah, I think he'll do well, and I think Son coming off the right and him on the left he's got a sweet left foot, so I think he'll fare quite well in getting them into the European Conference Cup.
And Nick, signing.
I'm really excited to see Lukaku back in the league, especially with that Chelsea team behind him.
It's gonna be scary.
And the reason I say that is because if you look at how many chances Werner missed last season, Lukaku was eating those chances up for
Inter.
Inter. So he was a finisher, you know. He doesn't need to make a first touch, as we've all debated many times. But he finishes. So I think he was joint top goal scorer or top goal scorer.
He won the Golden Boot once. In his first season, he got 34 goals. The next season, he got 30 goals. And led them to the Serie A titles.
So that's exactly my point. I mean, you come into a Chelsea team that's creating chances consistently. I think he'll get upwards of 20 goals this season in the Premier League. So I think they paid a lot for him. I do think that they paid a little bit too much for him. But I mean, top goal scorer in Serie A. So, I mean, I think he's one to watch.
So he'll probably unintentionally score with his first touch.
It'll be Chicharito-esque.
Well, he used
Kicked it in his niece's face.
Doesn't matter if he scores with Timberlands or boots. It's on.
Yeah, goal is a goal.
So on to the third question. It's not really going to spark debates. Just a straight answer would do. Name a player or manager that you'd like to see move to the Premier League and why. Start with you, good sir.
We talked about it last week as well. I love Nagelsmann. I think if Ole was sacked, best bit of business would have been. Nagelsmann coming in would have been an amazing addition to what the Premier League already has. And I think his ruthlessness, his hunger to win titles is something that United need. So I'd like to see Nagelsmann at United.
Good to hear. Mr. Muller.
Okay, look, the thing I agree with Nick. Reason being, I agree with Nick. Sorry, because he's young as well, and you see that drive and determination when he's on sideline. Well, when I use the scenes I've seen him, you know, but. Yeah, Germany just keep shit. Ooh, excuse my French. They just keep things too, like saturated. And with that being like, a lot of these good German young managers don't get the chance to experience the Prem because they're either being snapped up by the German side, the national side, where now they go coach the national side, or they'll just go to another German club. So yeah, sorry, that was just added information. But yeah, I agree with Nick Nagelsmann.
So a little bit undecided like Thomas Muller in front of goal.
Oh wow.
Mr. Super Cup.
I think Haaland would be a great addition to the Prem. I would have preferred him over Lukaku, but I think there's something relationship with Ole, and I think next season he's actually going to United, so we're looking to see that. But
thanks for putting that in the ether.
So we'll see. But I think that's one I'd like to see in the Premier League because he's so pacey, he's ferocious, he's confident, he's everything. Yeah, he's ruthless striker.
I've seen that man run.
Scary, bro.
Yeah.
He's so young.
How does he look like this? No. Who's next?
Mr. Brentford, you can go ahead, sir. Okay, let's go to
Deep breath.
It's just face.
Let's move away.
I
Might have
just want to
COVID.
also indicate this was filmed after the Brentford Arsenal game, which is the reason why he's getting ripped apart. It's a tough one for me because although it's a bit too late, I would have loved to have seen Messi in the Premier League.
Oh my God.
Reason being is this thing that Messi cannot handle physicality is an absolute load of rubbish. This thing that he can't handle cold conditions or wet nights and
Garbage.
stuff. I mean, it's the guy has a bigger goal scoring record against the Premier League top six than Ronaldo. He never played in the flipping league.
Well, Messi is the second greatest footballer of all
Wait,
time.
it's
We will save that debate for another time.
Wait, this triggered us.
I would have loved to have seen Messi in the Premier League because I honestly think he would have bits it up. Even though at his current age, he still would have done bits. It's undeniable. Even if he came to a team like flipping United, City, Chelsea, he would have done bits in any system. He'll disagree, but he's my GOAT. But aside from that, actually to counter your point, because I know Inter Milan are going through a bit of financial worries at the moment, especially after COVID and stuff. I would actually love to see Conte return to the Premier League.
Oh, yes.
I think Chelsea were really premature in getting
Love
rid
to
of
see
him.
Man United.
Yeah.
And that's exactly. I would actually, although I like Nagelsmann, don't get me wrong, I would prefer Conte. The reason being, he's a winner. Everywhere he goes, he's won.
And he's
It's
big
undeniable.
also.
He's got
And
experience,
He builds that. You can see even at Inter, everywhere he's gone, he's built that kind of team spirit that's going to win you titles. And he can also bring the best out of players that most won't see
Alonso.
or most won't think of.
Alonso, yeah.
I mean, Ashley Young went from United to Inter and was one of their better players. So yeah, for me it's Conte.
Short and sweet.
No. Firstly, I'm looking directly into the camera when I say this. Tune in next week for an episode on Messi versus Cristiano Ronaldo. Because I reserve my right to say that Ronaldo is the greatest footballer of all time, which he is. Now, back to regularly scheduled programming. I do believe that, before I say my signing, the Premier League and England deserves to see Manchester United back at the summit of football. Last EPL title was 2012-2013. Last Champions League was 2007-2008. It's a decade since in UCL. It's almost a decade now since the Premier League. The player I would really like to see at Manchester United specifically, even though they're a rival club, is the best central defensive midfielder in the world, Casemiro. I would love to see Casemiro there for one reason. Don't do that. I'm on the set. Right? So I believe this. Even if Ole is at the wheel, you bring Casemiro in there and you have a midfield trio of Pogba, Casemiro and Bruno Fernandes. It is debatable that that's the best midfield in the Premier League. Now you couple that with the back four, that would be the best defense and midfield in the Premier League. I think, Casemiro is one of those players where his importance, like I told you before we started, was amplified in 2017. Massimiliano Allegri said with Real Madrid's three-peat team, they have Isco, they got Bale, and they got their best player Ronaldo. But the most important was Casemiro. He really unlocked that pivot where it was Casemiro, Modric, Kroos. And I look at that and I think if Casemiro came to Manchester United, he propelled them to title favourites. And I think that's the kind of player that I would love to see at Manchester United. He's truly the kind of guy that really passes, the eye test. When he's like a CDM, he's like Patrick Vieira-esque.
Yeah.
Don't forget, Kante ripped him and Kroos apart in those Champions League ties.
Champions League tie.
Yeah.
And as far as I'm aware, Kante's got one Champions League title.
Yeah, and a World Cup.
But my guy got 3 Champions League titles. 3! In a row.
Let's settle this. Let Anza have his word in. Why do you think Kante is better than Casemiro? Because I agree with Wade. Although Kante is a close second.
Preface that as your opinion because he doesn't go second.
But no, Casemiro. But let's hear your word. Why do you think Kante is better?
In terms of work ethic, I know Casemiro may be a bit pacier, but Kante can break up play way better than Casemiro, and also break from midfield, also allowing us spaces up front. So I think Kante is much better than Casemiro, and yeah. So
okay, well, to counter that, I think it's debatable to say. I would say he just edges Casemiro in work rate purely because Casemiro is just a bigger guy. I don't. Would you say? I think Kante's probably got a bit of extra yard of pace, but the thing is, Casemiro is a dog, bruh. That man will take that ball no matter what.
And that's DAWG, dog.
But the thing is, breakup play is also very debatable because Casemiro reads the game exceptionally, and his passing between the lines is also brilliant. Passing wise, as a central defensive midfielder, is also very vital, as much as it is contributing to defensively. His passing between the lines, Kante doesn't even touch. I'm sorry, but I do feel you because Kante has had an exceptional season and he's been consistent for years.
For years since Leicester, I mean, Kante. You've obviously heard the cliche that he seems like there's two people on the pitch. I don't think Casemiro gives that to Real Madrid. He's just one man.
But I will say one thing before you continue, Ed.
I was actually going to ask the host if I may.
Since that Leicester season, this last season was probably his best season since that season. Although he's still been consistent, no one has spoken about him like they did speak about him at Leicester, and maybe his first season at Chelsea like they're speaking about him now. Because he's definitely made a bigger impact in this last season than he has, even though he has been phenomenal and consistent throughout the years. That's just what I say.
Yeah, well, I'd say from Leicester when he went to Chelsea, we won the league, right? Straight after he joined. Yeah, then we had a bit of a period where we struggled, and I think that's where people started to doubt him. But yeah, he did come back strong last season.
Host, may I interject?
Bite your tongue. Otherwise, we're going to be here until they build a statue of Casemiro.
But I was actually going to direct the question back to the host. You recall when Real Madrid played Liverpool? Give us your opinion on who you think's the best between the two, and tell us why.
So I think that Kante was playing out of position in the last few years since Lampard came back. And when I watched that game against Liverpool, with Liverpool versus Real Madrid, Casemiro was the best player on the pitch. Like John said, it's not just about winning the ball back. It's about getting play started, passing between the lines, getting the attack going, It's not about winning the ball back, passing it back to the central defender, passing it back to the goalkeeper, etc. So I think Casemiro is the best, and you're not going to get your say.
Thank you.
All right. Okay, so on to the next question. Klopp, Pep, Tuchel. German sandwich. Oktoberfest came early this year.
Oh my god.
Which one of the three managers will have the better season? Let's start with you, Mr. Germany.
Okay, so look, I'll be honest. A mate of mine says that there's this curse, like a new managerial. Like once a new manager comes into play, it's just they get the hype, they do well for a bit, then they hit a decrease. But the way, like we've discussed, Chelsea moved now in the transfer market. And with Lukaku being the out and out transfer, that's all they needed. So with Wade's point, I say Tuchel, honestly.
Yeah.
But if he doesn't perform, like it was mentioned prior by another gent, is that if he doesn't show like results or remain consistent in winning, and then they will fire him.
Yeah.
Because it's Chelsea. Do you know what I mean? They're very hasty and hostile.
Ambitious.
You see, that's the thing. Big club mentality.
Successful.
That's what, like, that's my point, yeah.
Yeah. Another mate of yours or another brew of yours? Hey, Mr. Chelsea.
I'll say Pep, just because they narrowly missed out on the Champions League. So I think they won the league, but I think they're not satisfied with that, and they're gonna come fighting harder. And that's also dependent on if they get Kane or not.
Yes,
So.
sure.
Yo.
Agreed.
All right, interesting. John, your thoughts?
As much as it pains me to say it, Pep City, even as it stands, guys, with the likes of Grealish coming in, their squad depth, their depth in quality, they can have two starting 11s that could compete for the league, if we're being honest. And my thing with Tuchel at the moment is that new manager bounce.
Tuchel. There's no N in the name.
Sorry,
Hey, wait.
I apologize, but like Rain said, that new manager bounce, we've seen it at most clubs. And as we said, Chelsea are ruthless when it comes to managers, when it comes to wanting to win. Because obviously their performances in the league did improve, but did they improve to the standard that they improved in the Champions League? So, and although that whole Champions League victory is another debate for another time, because I think it's not the most memorable, but it's also that's a sign of the times as well. But I honestly think if Tuchel obviously carries on the performances that they did towards the end of last season, they have a chance of winning it. But I still think City, as it stands, with their depth, with Grealish, it's going to be tight. It's going to be tight between 1, 2, and 3. But especially if they bring Kane up.
It's over.
There's the season going.
I'm
not even going to
really
get hopeful.
afraid
I'll
of
be
that.
hoping for second spot, and that's coming from a United fan, and that's sad.
Yeah.
But yeah, so for me, I don't think City are going to run away with it this season like they did last.
That'll be close.
That's without Kane. With Kane, it might be another story. But yeah, I don't think Tuchel and Chelsea are going to do as well as a lot of people are predicting they will be.
Yeah. So he says not a memorable Champions League victory. That, ladies and gentlemen, is the definition of irony. Just in case you didn't know. Yeah. So let's go with you, yes.
So I think that it's that age, Tuchel and Pep. Tuchel's got Pep's number at the moment. We saw it in the Champions League. We saw it in, I think, 2 fixtures. I think he hasn't lost with Chelsea against Pep. So I think he's got his number. But you see, the league is a different ballgame. Man City have been so consistent for so long that it's hard to put them second fiddle to Chelsea. Like you said that Chelsea won't do as well as people are suggesting. I'm with you on that. I don't think that they'll trump City in terms of consistency. I think it depends on how well Lukaku gels with the team, first of all, and then how the important players step up. Because it's about consistency. The league you only win being consistent. Yeah. City will lose 2 games or draw 2 games against Chelsea and beat the rest of the league and win the league anyway. Yeah. So, and I think that's what Pep's done with most of his teams. The leagues are almost redundant when he's managing a team with money,
Yeah.
So I think Pep has to be top for me.
Okay, awesome. On to the next question.
Whoa. Let's go back.
Jump down your throat.
Let's take this back to the host because no one's mentioned Klopp yet, Mr. Liverpool fan.
Oh, nice, nice.
Jurgen Klopp. Look, I mean, we had a lot of injuries last season, but I think we had some big signings this season. I mean, we got Ibrahima Konate, and in our opinion, I'm smiling on the outside, but inside I'm crying. When a player returns back from injury, he's a new signing, unfortunately. So in other words, we signed Van Dijk twice because he came back from injury and he signed a new contract. So,
Well, maybe if Klopp never hugged his players so hard, they wouldn't get so injured.
okay. Sorry, Aaron Ramsey. Sorry,
Jack Wilshere.
Jack Wilshere. Ozil.
Whoa, don't hit on the greatest attacking midfielder of this generation.
Yeah, so I think, obviously, as a Liverpool fan, I'd say Klopp would have the better season. But yeah.
Wait,
to you.
better than Pep and Tuchel.
Of course.
I think if anything, Klopp will have, not like he has anything to prove, but more that he needs to like prove in this current instant. I mean, you know, given that they just won the league and then they went and lost everything.
Pressure's high.
Yeah, pressure's on him.
Pressure is definitely on him this season. Last season, yes, the pressure wasn't really on him because of the injuries. People maybe, you know, gave him a pass on that. But this season, I think, yeah, some big pressure.
You think that? I think the pressure might have gone down a bit because do you think they backed him up enough in the
I don't think they really backed him well at all.
They didn't at all. I was
That's the
wondering.
shock losing Wijnaldum.
Yeah, that's the thing. So, talking of these new signings, when people come back from loan, that's a new signing for us, you know? So
That sounds like a poor man's mentality.
it is, you know, you take what you can get.
Yeah, take what you can get.
Yeah.
Is Chamberlain going to
So-
pull that hole that Wijnaldum has left?
No chance.
I think so. We need that drive in midfield. We need that. I'm telling you.
They
I'm
took
For the
telling
camera,
you,
for the
They
camera,
took
turn your
I'm
shirt
telling
around.
you.
For the camera,
Yeah.
turn your shirt around
I'm
so they
telling
know
you.
where you're coming from.
Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain will score top 5 goals this season.
Okay, turn around so
One
we
of
can
the
see why
top
you're
5
saying
goals
that.
this season. I'm telling you.
Oh, you mean
he's
like
a
his
good
crack
scorer.
or banger?
One of the top
But
5
that's
goals.
not answering
I mean,
the question.
No, but
Is he gonna
he's
assist?
still living on that City goal in the Champions League.
Oh,
aren't you?
that's the best goal in history.
Wow! It's Mandzukic, bro. Whoa, it's Mandzukic.
Chamberlain is capable of
Zidane left foot
those
volley in the
wonderful.
Mandzukic's volley, I love that thing.
Okay, well, let's
Jeez, like
And
you
you-
took
wait.
that the whole like you were here and you just went like
Said no.
jeez.
So
Like,
wait. So anyways,
wait,
Pep,
that's
Tuchel, or fraudulent?
Fraudiola
Fraudiola.
will be a flop. Look, I do believe that for me, I have to go with Thomas Tuchel. You know, I think when I look at Tuchel and I see that what Chelsea brought in for him, Lukaku, he has the backing. Number one. Now, if I juxtapose that with Ole has the backing, but what hasn't he done with his group of players? Won a trophy. What has Tuchel done with his players? Won 2 trophies. One of
such a
which
short
the
period
most
of time.
prestigious club competition in football, the UEFA Champions League. Before I continue though, you know, it's very disappointing when a Man United fan says the least memorable Champions League. I think it's a little bit of sourness. I mean, since 2010, Chelsea's won 2. United haven't done it in 12 years.
Exactly.
No, we're not.
Now, you know, Chelsea haven't done it in 12 years.
Now, there's a bit of saltiness, but no one's talking about
But I think Tuchel coming into this, especially after what was prefaced before, Lampard said this team's not ready to compete. This team won't win trophies. The man comes in with the squad, who many thought were a capable squad. I mean, how much you like Pulisic?
I love Pulisic.
Everyone
You know,
I put him in my fantasy team.
You look at the Chelsea squad, and they are a squad at a bare minimum that's capable of winning trophies, whether it's the FA Cup or the League Cup. And I think Tuchel, having won trophies with this group of players, and and then coming into this season knowing that the very thing that you consider a weakness, although I will say, I think Werner suffered from first season syndrome. Do I think he will flourish now that Lukaku's there? Might even take a hit on his confidence even more. But I think that Tuchel has the players, and it's sort of contextual. We discussed this before. What actually constitutes the best season for a manager? If Pep wins the league, then hypothetically Tuchel wins Champions League, FA Cup, and League Cup. Who's had the better season?
Definitely.
You know, it's contextual when we have this kind of discussion. You know, so I would like to see Tuchel have the best. I do think that, a very good point that you made is that when it comes to consistency in domestic leagues, Pep is there. But why I say he is fraudiola is because, we spoke, and we don't want to have the manager debate now. But wherever Pep's gone, he's gone to a team that had either the best financial backing or was the best team in that league where he had nothing to contest
On a
against,
silver platter.
particularly in Germany with Bayern Munich. So I think, Tuchel coming to Chelsea, when he came to Chelsea, there was sort of no expectation that he would win a trophy in the first season. Do you know what he went and did? Won the Champions League. I think that builds on into the season. And the thing that might hurt him is the weight of expectation now. You've won the Champions League.
That's the thing.
You know, you've won the Champions League. You know, you've won the Super Cup. Bring the treble.
Now I'm sure they're expecting him to win the league. That's actually I want to bring this back to Anza as a Chelsea fan. So obviously PSG under Tuchel they were successful in the league domestically because it's the French league. Although
They lost the Champions League final.
but that's what I'm coming to, right? So he failed to win the Champions League on many occasions for PSG. Then he comes to Chelsea and does it in his first season. What's the difference? The only difference there for me, because at that stage until like now, PSG probably had the better squad player for player, and they kind of probably still do. But so why did now suddenly change? It's that new manager bounce. That's what obviously you already predicted Pep's going to have a better season, but do you think that Tuchel's going to like finish second and come right behind that City team, or even maybe actually have a possibility of getting above them?
Yeah, I believe he does have a chance. Whether it's gonna happen, I hope it does, but I'm not too sure because I haven't actually had enough time to evaluate from half season to winning the Champions League, which is a smash and grab. But the way we also were finishing the league, it wasn't to my satisfaction.
Yeah, of course.
The way we were playing. But let's hope with Lukaku up, they will be able to finish off games because with Werner, we were struggling to finish off games, and sometimes those 1-0 victories that we needed, he couldn't get us those. So
Fair enough.
But you know, I do think that's not fair on Tuchel because you know, I think when you come into a team like Chelsea vis-a-vis PSG, something PSG had that Chelsea didn't have was complete and utter individual brilliance. Neymar and Mbappe.
Yeah.
You know, there's something about it where we always put a little asterisk, and this is part of my reason against, you know, Fraudiola, but you always put an asterisk on certain managers that go on and win with super teams. You know, because the individual brilliance can shine when even the manager is down. And I think when he went to Chelsea, it had a time to show that, listen, you know, I'm a very competent manager. Because let's be honest, if PSG win the Champions League now with this team, Pochettino, where you have Neymar, Mbappe, Messi, and you have all the players that follow, are you really going to say Pochettino is actually such a great coach? No, you're not. You know why? Because he lost he couldn't get PSG past, and he lost League One to Lille. You know, that's testament to it, you know. That's testament to it, you know. So I think Tuchel, you know, he deserves a lot of credit for his managerial prowess. I think when you go to a team like PSG, I wouldn't say managers take a back foot, but when you have that kind of individual brilliance, you know.
Yeah,
So the
exactly.
demand
That's
for
the
credit.
point I wanted to make. That the group of players sometimes. I remember once when he tried to substitute Mbappe, he wasn't very happy, and he went back and forth with Tuchel.
Or the Neymar and Cavani penalty routes.
Yeah, so
So
I
those
think
big, sorry.
there were big egos in there, and I think when he came to Chelsea, they just adopted his philosophy and they became like a solid team. There wasn't too many big egos.
was a proper balance.
Yeah.
Isn't that more of a challenge though as a manager? To manage that kind of changing room? To get the best out of the best players in the world consistently? I mean, Pochettino hasn't done it with PSG. But you look at someone like Pep, you don't get that sense from the squad. Like, you don't get people fighting over a penalty. More often than not, they're handing the ball to someone else.
Yeah.
I mean, Mahrez is the penalty taker most of the time.
And he misses
And-
half of the time.
But he still takes the penalties. You know, there's nothing of that. I'm the big boss here. Let me decide what happens on the field. You know, like Neymar and Cavani, for example.
Don't you think that takes a third lane to another argument, though?
I think
It takes a
does.
third lane to Messi and Ronaldo. And I'll tell you why it takes a third lane to Messi and Ronaldo for this very reason.
Short and sweet.
When you look at Pep at City, we've just said it's probably two squads.
Yes.
And it's a combination
Strong,
of
solid.
world-class players. But Messi at Barcelona, Ronaldo at Real Madrid, there's a unified acceptance. I'm the penalty taker. I'm the free kick taker. And I'm going to do X, Y, Z. I guarantee you now in PSG, when Messi walks in, he's the penalty and free kick taker there and there. And there is no debate there. But you look at, Cavani and, Neymar. Neymar is considered by some to be the third best player of this generation. For some to be one of the best players of the generation. I don't consider it as well. I think, it's Luka Modric, but we'll have that debate another time. I just think that, in that sort of clash of egos, it's not really the egos that matter. It's more that in that particular moment, if this team goes 1-0 down, you're trusting the individual brilliance of these players more than your managerial prowess. And I think that that plays a factor for me. So I think all the flowers go to Tuchel here, but this season it can go 50-50, and I'm hoping it goes the positive side because I don't want to see City win the league.
But on to your earlier points, when you said defenses win titles. As
Oh,
soon
yes.
as Tuchel came into the club, they had the best defensive record.
Oh,
They
amen.
didn't concede a goal in hundreds of minutes.
That's true.
You know, so I think that's the first thing that he went there. Said get them organized, short lines. Get the defense deep, etc. Defend properly.
German.
That's how they won. Yeah, German.
So I think across the board, it's Tuchel that we're looking at to be quite successful this coming season.
I can sum it up.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Deutschland.
It's like he's already drunk and it's not even. I don't know.
And you know he drinks that different type of beer. It's IER. Beer.
So, biggest flop prediction
Oh.
and why? This can be either a player, a manager, or an entire team.
Okay.
Start with you, John. Since you're smiling like that, I don't know if
With
you're checking
no
your
lips.
The reason why I'm smiling is because this is going to carry on the previous debate. I think
Yeah,
the biggest flop
yeah.
of the season is going to be Tuchel.
Yeah.
Actions, bro.
It's the same thing. We all know how cutthroat Chelsea are when it comes to managers. And it's obviously not just Chelsea anymore. All the clubs are obviously catching up to that level of cutthroatness.
Ambitious.
United.
Yeah.
And obviously ambition, whatever. The reason being because now there's going to be a lot of expectations on his shoulder. Do you really think now in Ibramovic's mind, now that they won the Champions League in the way that they did, he's not-
Abramovich.
Sorry, Abramovich. It's Abramovich, it's not Abramovich. But yeah, so he's gonna especially because he's probably the most cutthroat coming from the top down at Chelsea. His expectations are definitely for Chelsea to win the league. If they don't win the league,
Yes.
if they struggle to even get into top four, which I don't think they will, I honestly think Tuchel's gonna be out the window by December. If they're not, let's say if they're not 1, 2, 3 come December,
Yes.
Tuchel's gonna be out.
Yeah.
But although even if Chelsea finish second or third, to most Chelsea fans after winning the Champions League and someone like
It's not
Abramovich,
good enough,
they
yeah.
might think of him as a flop.
Yeah.
Especially now with Lukaku, 115 million, the amounts of depth that they do have in a lot of attacking positions. Because we all know Lukaku's not the best footballer, but when it comes to putting the ball in the back of the net, he's one of the best in the world. And he has the type of players around him to give him that service.
Yeah.
So if those kind of players flop, I think Tuchel will be the one that gets the sacrifice, not the players. So yeah, that's mine.
Okay. Mr. Drunkard?
Yeah, so look, I don't know. Everton, I don't want to say as a whole because they've got really good players, but Rafa going into Everton as their new manager, I don't like it because number one, you coming from Liverpool, now you straight to the rivals, like, come on, have some decency. Anyways, also the signings, I mean, Damari Gray, fine, he may have won a title at Leicester, I think he won a league title, but he's not... Like, based on the signings that they did make prior, you know what I mean? And the players that they do already have. I think Onyekuru may have been on loan, but like even Onyekuru would be better than the likes of Gray. Do you know what I mean? And Andros Townsend. So I think Rafa is like a double agent type of a thing because at this current moment where we are, like it's the beginning of the Prem, he's doing rubbish. I'm sorry, in terms of signing wise, but also the way the team played against us.
And he wants to release James Rodriguez.
You see, are you stupid? No. So
Free to leave,
hectic. So like when we played them in the friendly, look, United is like Bruno and the Oaks, so they too lacquer, but they weren't gelling. Like they weren't a team. They're just a bunch of O's on the field. And yes, individually, there's a lot of Alan. Mad. He's sick. But he doesn't really stand out because he doesn't have the chemistry with the other O's. I don't know. But yeah, I think Rafa Benitez.
So I agree with you, but for me, Rafa's on the back foot already. I don't know why Ancelotti left. He started something really nice at Everton when he got there.
We got to the greatest club of all time.
Yeah. When Real Madrid calls,
You answer.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, like, it's just disappointing that's how it's happened, you know?
Yeah.
Because Ancelotti brought in some quality players.
Yeah,
and
I love
Everton
James
was on
at
the outs.
Everton.
Yeah, exactly. So I just feel like Benitez has taken a job that's destined to fail almost, because now that you can actually see how they disjointed now.
No, but that's the thing. You can't say that because Ancelotti made really good signings. So therefore, also being the manager you are, Benitez, you should be able to bring these lads together and make them at least play decently. But from what I've been seeing and the transfers that he's made, I mean, no, man. He used to be a top manager. Do you know what I mean? Yeah.
But then let me ask you something. We speak often about this, players' responses to managers.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think James Rodriguez signed for Everton or Ancelotti?
Ancelotti.
Definitely
Ancelotti. So you look at the players that Everton signed under Ancelotti. Do you think they'll have the same degree of respect and towards
Going
gravitation
forward.
towards Ancelotti like they did towards Benitez?
Look,
It's debatable.
Holistically,
Because
you know?
a lot of people hold Ancelotti as one of the top 3 managers of all time.
Exactly.
No, look, to touch on your point about Ancelotti leaving, I read from a Sky Sports headline saying that he's a short-term manager type of a thing. So what he did there, he didn't, like, he could have done better, obviously, but he wasn't happy, so he kicked it. And I mean, like you guys said, if Madrid's calling, you're going to vie. So that just answers your question. In terms of what you asked now, sorry, please repeat, because I had the answer.
James,
Yes, the respect given to the
Yeah.
following manager coming in.
or even response.
Yes, Aweh, same thing. So my thing is with players like the likes of Bruno coming to United. That all came into the squad with gees, with the passion. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He came to play for the badge.
Yeah.
This man comes from Lisbon, dude. Do you know, like, the passion he has for United, you'd swear he comes from the youth. So what Light is there at Everton and giving the same respect or the same, energy, that's on them. I don't know, but because it's Rafa, they won't.
But remember, I think
Just a
like,
question.
Yeah, go on, knock it, my
Do you
bro.
think they should have just reverted back to Duncan Ferguson right now?
Hey,
I liked Everton under Duncan, actually. I'm not going to lie.
Duncan the Vittel.
Traditional football.
Yeah, that was that
Back to
old
basics.
English,
Basic, yeah.
old
Back to
English
basics.
style.
Calvin
breaking
Owen
the
up there.
tackle.
I don't know, man. I think Everton should have kept up that big. Don't do that. Right? I think Everton should have kept up that cutthroat mentality. Before Allegri went to Juve, Allegri was available. Conte had just been released from that. You have Ancelotti at Everton. What's stopping you from getting Allegri or Conte? I think they should have pursued that aggressive pursuit of top-level managers. I mean, I don't see a reason why they shouldn't.
Can I play devil's advocate chat with Benitez?
Why do you want to play it?
Because no one's defending him. So at the end of the day, the guy's still a Champions League winning manager, right? And the thing is, he did a pretty good job at Newcastle considering the circumstances going on at that club. So the reason why I'm not saying he's not going to be a flop. He's obviously got a lot of pressure on his shoulders coming, previously being a Liverpool manager, now working under Everton.
It's going to weigh heavy.
I think some people are also underappreciating him because he's a pretty good manager, to be fair. I'm not saying he's one of the best of all time. I'm not saying he's one of the best in the league at the moment, but he's not exactly
Ollie.
like a Sean Dykes or something like that. Even though Sean Dykes is not bad.
Yeah.
So to play devil's
Hey, he
advocate,
eats worms, man.
to play devil's advocate, he is a winning manager. So you never know, he could turn things around.
I think it does come back to the transfers that he makes.
And
Like,
then-
if
but
he
that's
makes a
another
decent
thing.
signing or two.
But that's another thing. You can't blame purely a manager for recruitment.
Yeah, no, for
if
sure.
he's not in charge.
I mean,
of
we
it.
saw it as well as well.
But back to the important part that we were discussing about player responses. I don't know if you saw, but when Real Madrid let Mourinho go, they get Ancelotti.
Yeah.
And then what happened when Ronaldo left? They got Lopetegui. Lopetegui was fired in 9 months.
The Spanish owner?
Yes, but it's about, if you get Ancelotti, you set the bar.
Yeah.
Who are you going to get better than Ancelotti?
No, but you can get someone that Allegri and Conte were available.
Yeah. Do you think they would have gone to Everton?
Well, why did Ancelotti go to Everton?
That's
Because he was out of a job and they offered him a job.
Exactly, and they were out of a job. They could have offered him a job.
Conte is at Inter.
No, he's not.
Yeah.
He's
Is he left now?
He's left.
He's
That's
left.
why
He's
Lukaku's
completely out.
leaving. That's why Lukaku's
Okay,
out.
no, okay.
No,
that's a
come do
fair
your
point.
research. Get a phone out. Do your
I'm not
research.
saying- I'm not-
So the reason
I'm not
that
denying
Conte
it, but I'm
left-
saying even though he's out of a job, you think he'll go there?
Yeah, I think he would have.
I
After
think-
winning the league.
I think the pull of the Premier League is real, bro. And the quality of player at Everton, I wouldn't mind managing there if I was Conte.
Okay, sorry. Just to Wade, you haven't said your points on who you think
Yeah,
may
back
face.
to
Yeah,
that.
sorry.
Back to
Yeah.
Yeah, that one. Who said the Everton was you? Yeah, and that thing really got it going.
Sorry.
man.
Yeah.
Biggest flop prediction, just to reiterate the question.
Thank you. Look, I'm going to be very honest with you. The first one I'm putting asterisks over because my main one is quite obvious. I think it's Jadon Sancho, and I'll tell you why it's Jadon Sancho. Wind the clock back to a 22-year-old Ronaldo signing for Real Madrid. Real Madrid signed Ballon d'Or winner, Champions League winner, league winner. Everyone knows what Ronaldo did in 07 or 08.
Yeah.
A 21-year-old Jadon Sancho coming to Manchester United with the price tag of 85 million euros.
75.
No, it's 85.
Add-ons.
With
Doesn't
add-ons.
matter. Yeah.
73 without add-ons and then it's 85 total.
Yeah, so whatever you want to call it, right? Give or take. And then you're coming into Manchester United, who, look, as it stands, they're the greatest English team. The pressure, it's like equivalent to going to Spain in Real Madrid. So I think, will he cope under the pressure? Let's see. But the biggest flop for me is going to be always at the wheel, right? So I will tell you why.
So you're saying United as a whole?
No, I don't think United will flop. I think United will get a trophy this season. You know, given the players they have, whether it's the FA Cup or League Cup, they will get a trophy. I do think they will. But I think that where the standard and metric comes in for, you know, Ole is that you look at the players Manchester United have invested since the most expensive centre-back in history, Maguire, was under Ole. Bruno Fernandes, who people were saying on the same level as De Bruyne last season, under Ole. Varane, under Ole. Sancho, under Ole. And I think when you look at Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, it's a thing of now you have arguably one of the top 3 squads in the Premier League.
Yeah.
You know, it's the top 3 squads of the Premier League. So when we say flop, and people say, oh, he got second, that's not a flop. Is that really not a flop? What if United go trophyless this season? Because we have 3 United fans. We'll be happy with the trophyless season. Because now we're already saying you have the best back 4. Maguire, Varane, Shaw, Bissaka. We're already saying that, you know, you have Pogba and Fernandes, who we're saying are, let's say, top 5 players, top 5 midfielders in the league. And now you have arguably pieces of the best. Are you satisfied with the trophyless season? Actually, even if you win just the League Cup, are you satisfied with that?
Nope.
Well, I wouldn't be. And I think, you know, this boils down to what I told you earlier. When Mourinho came, it was an immediate expectation of trophies. When Ole came, it's this fast and furious family business. It's like we family. We can't fire former player Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. You know, we family. It's like Dominic Toretto there. I think it's very important that you look at Mourinho, who in his first season won League Cup, the Europa League, and the Community Shield. Then you look at the backing Ole has gone in trust the process. There doesn't need to be that level of backing for trust the process.
Yeah.
The expectation on trophies should be followed with Chelsea's diagram of cutthroat ambitiousness. You know, United, if they were ambitious, they would have stopped it and they would have got Conte in there. I'm done.
Mr. Chelsea?
Okay, I was gonna say Arsenal as a whole that they're gonna flop, but it's become a standard that they are at that level, so it's no longer a flop. Even with Spurs, I think they're just competing for 7th and 8th and qualification to the Conference
Top 10
Cup.
even, I
So
would say.
yeah,
Nah, they won't make top 10.
so yeah,
Arsenal won't make top 10.
They won't.
Yeah, also, I don't think they will make top 10.
Are you guys serious?
Nah, they won't make top 10. Not under Arteta. Not even with the caliber of players that
if
they
they
have.
sign Madison.
Oh no, what is Madison? But
No, shame, leave Matters alone.
You know?
He's not even at Arsenal yet.
Let's put it this way. Although I like Madison, if Leicester are willing to get rid of him, is he really going to make that much of a difference at Arsenal?
because let's be
He's
honest,
going to be he's going to actually be demoting.
you know what you want from
You are
Arsenal, right?
correct.
You want the Arsenal fans to go outside the Emirates and rehearse Buster Rhymes' Arab money. You want them to say Crunky Sports and Entertainment out, top down. We want the Arab money in there.
Okay, but if it's a bottom half finish, then it's totally a flop.
No, it's not. Because the expectation
It's
is not there.
expected.
You know, it's expected of Arsenal now. I mean, let's be honest, right? Arsenal, do you expect them to get top 4?
No, definitely.
Do you expect them to get top 6?
No.
So in this instance, top 6 will be an overachievement.
So it wouldn't be a
It would
flop.
be top
even if
4
they
for
finish
them.
bottom half.
Exactly. If they get relegated, now we say that's
Then
a
maybe
flop.
it's a flop.
That's a flop.
Yeah. Okay.
Then there'll only be 5 of us.
But also on top of what Wade said about United, I want to say something dead and buried on full. If United aren't in the top, aren't in the title race, that means 1, 2nd or 1st. Come December, and Oli is still there. We're a joke as a club. I'm sorry, because we have the
There's no
players to
ambition.
contend for the title.
Yeah.
If we're not in that first or second spot, still in the title race. I'm not talking about City being 12 points above us and we're sitting in second.
Yeah.
That's
Must
not
be near them, yeah. So it must
I'm
be
sorry.
in touching
With the
distance.
amount
Definitely.
of
Agreed.
backing the club has actually given him, we can go into about the Glazers and stuff like that. That's a whole other story. Either way, financially, Ole has been backed. You can't deny it.
Yeah.
And if we're not in the title race come December and he's not gone,
That's a
we're
flop.
not serious.
It's a flop.
I'm sorry.
Nick, biggest flop.
Spanner in the works, Liverpool. I just think Klopp's lost one of his most important midfielders. Like one of the reasons that they were as good as they were in the title-winning season.
It was true to JD.
Lost him for free,
Yeah.
and they haven't brought in a replacement. I don't think Keita can take that role. He hasn't shown up.
Yeah.
And without the proper backing, I don't think they'll reach. I think top 4 will be a reach for them. Actually, I think Leicester are more a shout for top 4 than Liverpool at this point. So I think generally, I mean, if you look at the top 3 that they rely on so much, Mane, Firmino, and Salah, getting on in years, not as consistent. I mean, Salah still world
Except
class.
Salah, yeah.
But Mane had a subpar performance season.
You want to hear something interesting? Ask him his opinion on Salah when you're done.
Interesting. We'll get there.
So
Yeah, I think Klopp has his work cut out for him this season.
Yeah. So it sounds like the Spaniards are going to do better than Liverpool this season. Spanner in the works.
Oh my god. What? We redirect this question to the host.
Biggest flop this season. I think Lukaku. I think Lukaku. Yeah. I just think there's so much expectation for Lukaku to do well, to probably win the Golden Boots, fire them to the title, fire them to back-to-back Champions League victories. So I think Lukaku. I don't know if he's going to get the support that he needs. Are they going to cross the ball enough? Because he needs the crosses. You know, he's aerially brilliant. You know. So I think Lukaku. I think if he doesn't score more than, let's say, 17 goals, 15 is too little, 20 is maybe just about right. I think if he doesn't score more than 17 goals in the Premier League alone, it's a flop of the season.
Especially at
based on
Yeah, definitely.
But now to retort, what do you think about the Liverpool flop comment there?
Rubbish. Comment about the flop is a flop.
Nice.
Yeah.
Just a quick question to that though. Like, I get the pressure aspect of it all, but Lukaku's not immense, but he's got mad experience in the Premier.
Exactly.
So I think that pressure is he can definitely handle it. You know. Sorry, I don't agree. To be quite honest, that Lukaku will flop because of how good of a player he is. And you may laugh. Yes, his touch is the worst thing about him, but he's a 9, bro. You can count on him to put balls at the back of the net. So I don't think he'll flop. Sorry, I like Lukaku. To be very honest.
This is the whole reason for this.
And in terms of getting the crosses in, he's got a lot of players around.
But
ZH, Pulisic, there's too much of
That's
creation.
creation because he has the players that can give
Exactly.
Is he gonna develop?
So I mean, I wanted to interject on the fact that you said he needs the crosses. Lukaku's game at Inter was hold-up play. He wasn't necessarily getting it on crosses. He
had Lautaro Martinez
and
there
he's
with him.
strong.
Madness. He's a madness.
So he was bullying defenders most of the time.
Yeah.
And he's quick enough to get around them as well, so he was making those runs into the channels, you know? So he wasn't just the one dynamic striker. I like him because he's an all-round striker.
100%.
He's got everything except
No, I will be honest with you though. Like, my thing about Lukaku, if you were to say he's world class, I will not, debate that with you. I don't believe he is, because there's something about, like, when I look at my strikers, I want an aesthetically pleasing striker who get Karim Benzema's the best in the
Bro, we
world.
can't compare every striker to Karim.
I love Karim, but even Lewandowski. Lewandowski is an aesthetically pleasing striker to watch. I think with Lukaku, my thing is that whatever player you go do a highlight reel of their worst, I mean, you'll think, okay, no, it's the worst player to ever.
Yeah,
Understand? I
definitely.
mean, you put a highlight reel of Giroud, you'll think he's the best ever, right?
Especially Giroud.
I think with Lukaku, there are more flaws. It's one thing to put the ball in the back of the net, but the ancillary parts of his game, there's more negatives about it than there is positives to it. Where I do say, though, that I agree with you is that, with Lukaku coming back to Chelsea, you've played at a mid-table team and felt the pressure of playing at Everton. You've played at Man United and felt the pressure of playing at the biggest team in England. And you've played partially at Chelsea, you could say, in your youth. My thing with Lukaku comes in is that he's just scored 64 goals in 2 seasons at Inter. The metric is now you a striker that's getting over 30 goals in a whole season. If you come in and get 17, that's not good enough.
It's the same thing with
That's not good enough.
And
it's the same thing with Werner. On top of a 30-goal season at Leipzig, comes to Chelsea, flops, and everyone.
What did he score, like 5 goals?
Yeah, but I think the difference is Werner never has been in the Premier League. Lukaku's been in the Premier League.
So he's got no excuse at this stage.
And
Lukaku's a good shot.
I actually think Lukaku is actually third choice because I think we tried for Haaland and then we tried for Lewandowski.
Yeah.
I heard Tuchel make that.
Lewandowski?
Yeah, initial chats were
Yeah.
Lewandowski.
I know Haaland was the first
First choice, yeah. I think he was third
But
option
even past
actually.
seasons, Lever
But
was
back to what Nick said about Liverpool. Do you think Liverpool? One thing that has been a common theme in this discussion is squad depth. Man City, Chelsea, United. Do you think what happens with the coveted front three? Firmino goes out. Which striker comes in?
Jota. Divock Origi.
Tell me.
Champions
Leave
League
me
winner. But even
Jota was probably in the top 5 reasons Portugal never went through. He was horrific at the Euros. Jota.
Jota. Yeah.
Portugal.
Let's not go there because that's burnout.
Yeah. Now let's say this. What happens if Salah Mane got? Who goes there?
I don't like Salah, to be honest. To be honest, I don't care. You'll win the Golden Boot, but You'll sit bench. Okay. On to the last question. Player of the season, Golden Boot winner, amount of goals, top 4 predictions. Go.
What's the first one?
Okay, let's start with player of the season.
Player of the season, I'll say Kane.
Kane.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Kane.
Even if he
Tottenham
stays at
Kane
Even if he
or
stays.
Tottenham Kane
Yeah.
or Man City
Even
Kane?
if it's
Which one, the Tottenham or the Man City version of Kane?
Either.
Either or.
Either or.
Okay,
Either or.
great.
City or Runaway.
Golden Boot winner. Obviously, you have to say Kane.
Kane, yeah,
Yeah.
23 goals.
23
Oh, that's a
goals.
good one.
Yeah.
That's a bit of a low return for Golden Boot, but yeah. Top 4 predictions.
Top 4, Chelsea number 1, Man City number 2,
Confidence.
Man United number 3,
I respect.
number 4 Liverpool. I think they'll just fall short of 3 because of squad depth. If anything happens
Very
to
good
one
points,
of their
yeah.
key players, then
Yeah.
Very good
they're
points.
basically screwed.
Okay,
Nice.
so player of the season, don't say Thomas Muller.
Wow. Okay, so player of the season for me, this is a difficult one. If Bruno but continues up from where he left off, I think he could be player of the season. Like if he spreads his talent properly between assisting and scoring, as well as he's been doing. But on a higher level, obviously, it's a new season, new other O's in the squads. Top goal scorer, look, whether Kane goes or stays, it's between him and Lukaku. I'm not gonna lie, I really have faith in him having a good season.
Yeah.
And then last but not the top
How many
4.
goals for Lukaku?
Lukaku, I'd say 20 up, but not above 25. Between 18 and low 20s.
Let's get a precise number.
Let's say 21.
21.
Yeah, 21. 21 is coming.
Okay.
So,
Then you gotta
and
actually
then,
drink for Oktoberfest.
nice, well played. And then top 4 in no particular order is gonna be your.
Wait, what do you mean in no particular
I'm not giving a.
no,
I'm
no,
not.
no,
I'm
you
not-
have to.
Okay, look. If City can,
Bro, you look up like God's gonna give you an answer.
who's God? I'm kidding. So I'm kidding. Sorry, man, guys. So look,
Don't say sorry to us. Say sorry to God. That's a blasphemy.
so look, whether can if City sorts out their striking position, because we all agree that this false 9 thing's not working. They need an out and out. If they get an O into the squad before transfer ends, they could be first. If not, then I'm saying Chelsea. So it's between Chelsea and City for first. Second would then be obviously Chelsea or City, but yeah, third United. Fourth would be Liverpool or Leicester.
Life on the line as it stands, who takes number 1, Chelsea or City? Kane's not there, so
Kane's
Chelsea's
not there,
City.
Chelsea. Chelsea, City, United, Leicester.
Okay.
Liverpool
When he-
fifth.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, great. When he says oh, he means brew.
Oh, yeah.
What's a female brew?
Sticky.
A brunette.
Brunette.
Nick, player of the season.
Player of the season. De Bruyne is injured now more than he's playing, so I'd really like him to be consistent, and
Sure,
play.
yeah.
If he stays fit, there's a very good shot for him to be player of the season. But as it stands, he's injured at the moment, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, that was a terrible challenge though in the Euros. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'd have to agree with you with Bruno. I think if he's consistent, I don't see anyone topping him, because he was really consistent last year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We
can't top-
relied on him
yeah.
too much, in fact.
Yeah.
But I think now with Sancho in it kind of takes a little bit of pressure off to create. So I think Bruno.
Okay.
Top goal scorer, Kane is a good shout. It depends on how Lukaku starts. I think Kane at City definitely takes it. Kane
Yeah.
at Tottenham, it's a long shot, I think.
Give me a number.
Kane will get, I'm going to go with 24.
24.
But if he goes to City, I think 28.
Yay.
28. Wow. It's quite a good return. And top 4 predictions.
I have to go City, Chelsea, United, Leicester.
Leicester again. Okay. Interesting. And no spanner? Nothing like that.
I do the span actually. The last question.
Mr. Super Cup.
Yeah, I've given
He's
mine.
given
He was first. My bad. John.
Okay, I'm gonna go. This is the United with me. You can say it's biased, fine, but the thing is, in terms of player of the season, the fact that Bruno Fernandes had such a massive impact at the club in his first season coming from Portugal, we haven't seen an impact like that in someone's first season since Eric Cantona. And I know I'm not comparing the two because they're very different players, and that's another.
Are you talking about first impact in the Premier League?
Yes, in the first season in the Premier League. And the thing is, he's looking raring to go. That Everton game, although it's pre-season, it's always obviously you can disregard that however you like, but he's looking raring to go. Yes, in the Euros he was poor, but I think that was a case of burnout. You saw that in a lot of quality players, not everybody though. But I think if he carries on, and I think he's actually going to do better than last season now. I really think he's doing goals and assist-wise. Hopefully free kicks will improve. But I think he'll take player of the season. Reason, obviously, and yeah. So what's up next then? Top scorer. It's a tough one. Although, if Kane moves to City, it's hands down 30 goals.
30 goals.
He's right.
Right, he's going to have half his goals on a silver platter. The way they move the ball around, it's going to be tapped in most of the time. At Tottenham, I still think he can take Golden Boot because if Son's signed an extension with him and that pairing between the two, then they link up very well. I still think he'll take Golden Boots 26.
26. Okay, and top 4 predictions?
I'm close to Nick, and it's another span in the works for my side. City, if Kane doesn't go to City, right? It'll be very tight between 1, 2, and 3. Very, very tight. It's not going to be like last season, I hope. I think we all hope. It'll be City top, just United coming in close second, Chelsea also a very close third. I think Leicester are going to come fourth, and it's going to be maybe a big 5, 6 point, 7 point gap between third and fourth. And I'm sorry, bro, but I don't think Liverpool are going to maybe fifth.
It's the depth.
I just don't think Liverpool they haven't backed Klopp enough. Klopp has the potential to turn that Liverpool side into a very into a title winning side because he's done it before.
So Bruno Fernandes had a more impactful season than RVP's first.
Yeah. In terms of stats wise.
RVP projected United to the league, didn't they?
Listen.
But he was in the Prem before that.
Who's RVP?
No, but I mean,
Robert
like
Van
a first season in there.
Yes, I said.
No, but like
first
he was
season,
in. You said in the first season in the Premier League.
one thing we said about
Wasn't it a debut season?
No,
what
it
he's
wasn't.
saying
It wasn't
Premier
Van
League.
Persie's first season.
In
I
the
don't
Prem.
think
It was at Arsenal before that.
Maybe other few shouts from other clubs, but in terms of the first season
Sanchez
in the
at
Premier
Arsenal.
League, Sanchez is one.
Sanchez at Arsenal.
I haven't seen that kind of impact from a player. Obviously RBP, if you have to say first season at United.
Yeah,
100%.
but Prem based, I agree, John.
But didn't Sanchez win the FA Cup in his first season?
I think we're just
fans really.
Didn't Sanchez win the FA Cup in his
When they
first
were winning trophies.
No, I think we're just strictly chatting United there in that
let's
regard.
avoid that topic because our player who had the better first season stats wise was Fernandes, maybe trophy wise obviously Sanchez.
Well, impact wise, which matters, was Sanchez at Arsenal.
No, but you can if we didn't flop in the Europa League and the FA Cup like we did because of the
Yeah, but we don't live in
because of Oli, we would have easily said Bruno Fernandes' impact was.
But that's not fair to say just because of Wally. United, as they were constructed in that particular match, should not be losing to a 7th place Villarreal.
I agree, but we had a manager that doesn't make the right changes at the right time, doesn't apply the right tactics against what Villarreal ended 7th.
7th.
And we score, or sorry, they score, and we were still playing defensively. We didn't push them when we had the players when they were actually parking the bus.
So sad.
So that's
it's up
but that's a
to
debate. That's a debate.
Yeah,
That's a debate. But in terms of Liverpool, let's say Liverpool lose Van Dijk again. Maybe even it's a month or 2.
Konate is
Yeah.
doing
Come
nothing.
on,
Paul's
there.
gonna be.
Season's over.
It's gonna be a mission.
We're also playing Nico Williams
If now what there's 2 weeks, 2 weeks left in the transfer
Phillips.
market.
Yeah.
He will take it. If they can bring in a proper, somewhat world class midfielder to help to replace Wijnaldum, because I don't think Chamberlain or Keita is going to do the job that Wijnaldum did personally. Then it's another story, but they just haven't backed Klopp enough.
Yeah,
I
if they
actually
haven't-
feel for Klopp, and that's coming from the United fans.
If they haven't listened from the get-go of the transfer season or backed him or whatever, it's going to be a sad one for Liverpool. Because of that depth and the fact that they're not listening to him. This man's brought them the league after so many years, then the champs as well. Why are they not backing him? I don't understand. So that's why I say it's going to be difficult.
Yeah.
You
And you.
Leave him for last because he talks the most.
You saved the best for last. You saved the best for last.
No, but he's going to go last, so it's fine.
Stop it. Don't do that. Not when I'm on the set.
Player of the season.
I'm going to be bold. I'll go with Dan James. No, I'm just joking. I'm joking. I think it's going to be Rafael Varane. I think Ruben Diaz set a good precedent for a centre-back winning PFA Player of the Year. And I just think, Varane's impact is going to be more felt than Sancho's. And I just think what Varane will do is, if United build from the back, they can be a very difficult team to break down with that back four. So I'm going with Varane for my Player of the Season. Leading goal scorer, I think we've all prefaced this now, that if Kane goes to City, it's uniformly accepted. He will be the leading goal scorer. I stand with that. As much as I don't like him, I'm going to go with Lukaku, and I'm going to go with 24 goals, leading goal scorer. I just think, if you look at what they have around him at Chelsea, and if he doesn't win the Golden Boot, then, we have to look back at this episode we had and congratulate you on your flop prediction. My top four, and we preface this again unless Kane goes to City, I'm going Chelsea number 1, City number 2, Liverpool number 3, United number 4. I just think, under Ole's guidance, just how we spoke about that man management in that Villarreal game, I think the difference is Klopp is a proven manager and Ole isn't. Klopp has gotten trophies out of these players. He's gotten the best out of this group of players. Ole hasn't gotten the best out of this group of players. Until such time that your efforts culminate in a trophy, you're held to a standard of trust the process. How much longer can you trust the process?
100%.
It's really been too long.
Yeah.
It's a bit contradictory. If I think if Man United finish 4th, then Varane, would he still be the player of the season?
Well, look, I think at the end of the day, games go differently. I mean, he can have except Man United can do well from the back and they can, be solid defensively. But Chelsea and City can win so many games that regardless of the efforts that happen, it doesn't, work in their
That's
favor.
a fair point, because we were actually one of the best defensive teams in the league last season, but we drew like 11 games.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Drawing games
But that
is
doesn't
actually what loses
constitute
the
as our
title.
defenders not.
Also, John, I wanted
Unless you
to
don't
also
lose
just
in.
ask you something, John.
What's up?
Just on regarding Man United.
Yeah, speak like you're
centre-back
doing a
pair-
voice note with your sexy
The centre back pairing with Varane and Maguire. I know most centre back pairings, they require someone that's more what can I say, pacey and they seem like the similar type of player, just good reading of the game and
Who, Maguire and
What?
I will say, I'll
Varane's the
respond to that.
faster
I'll respond to
partner.
that. I think Varane's pace is underestimated.
Yes.
Is it?
Yeah.
He's
Yeah,
tall and
super
lanky,
good.
yes, but he's actually pretty good pace.
He looks slow.
Even acceleration-wise. And the thing is, if you got two centre-backs that can read the game well, you actually take out that element of pace. So look at Ferdinand and Vidic. Yes, Ferdinand is prime.
Bonucci
He was
killing
quick.
it.
yeah, but
Bonucci
I was-
That's a perfect
yeah.
example.
Bonucci
Ferdinand was quick when he was younger, but the older he got, obviously the pace dropped. And Vidic also wasn't the quickest. And they were arguably the best centre-back player in Premier League history.
Yeah.
Because they read the game well, they worked together well. If we can form a partnership where both players, centre-backs, read the game well, we've got a left and a right foot now finally. An aerial, we're going to be fine. Maguire's solid in there, so is Varane, height-wise. And we obviously, a lot of the thing about Maguire was bringing him centre-back with pace to cover that element of his weakness. I think it's clear. But the thing is, like I said, Varane's pace is underestimated. But if you have two centre-backs that read the game well, sometimes pace is not always going to be an element. And if the line works together well, if you've got Shaw and Wan-Bissaka covering the areas they need to cover back, I think we're sorted.
Our dearest toast.
So, player of the season, biggest cause in the league, Jack Grealish. I think so. I think so.
Biggest calves.
Biggest cause. I just can't stop staring at them. I don't know what it is.
They are aesthetic.
Oh, please.
I see what. Okay. All right.
Golden Boot winner, although I hate him, Salah's gonna win it. 25 goals. I hate him.
Hate it.
Yeah, I hate him. Top 4 predictions. I think Liverpool will just take it. Second, Chelsea. Third, Man City.
Wait, did you say Liverpool will win the league?
Hey,
of course.
allow it. Allow it.
Continue.
Let me just see if I can make sure stretch there.
Nice.
He's like,
Let me finish.
Like how I backed my boy Malembe last night. Back my boys also. So I think Liverpool's gonna win. I think Chelsea will come second. I think Man City and then Man United. I think so.
Leicester fifth.
Interesting.
I feel like we haven't included Leicester now.
I included them.
I hate Leicester. Leicester
Fourth
can
for
get
me.
relegated. Leicester can get relegated, bro. I don't care.
he's gonna be saying that about Arsenal soon if they don't start winning games.
Why do you hate Salah so much?
Yeah, that's
I think
bonus.
the viewers are
Bonus
yeah,
content.
some
I think we need a whole episode on players that we hate though.
Rashford.
Hate is a strong word.
TBC.
Yeah.
Players that I hate.
Yeah.
Or more like hold home, bro.
Nah, I hate Salah because he's just not a team player. When he can pass, he doesn't pass. When he wants to pass, he shouldn't be passing. He should be shooting. I just hate it, you know. So yeah, that's why.
That's a wrap, folks.
Yeah, so that's the first episode of Aweh. It's football. Don't forget the comma.
Yeah,
Don't forget the comma. It might be a little bit too late, but I don't know. Can we change the name? I'm not sure. Maybe next week we'll have more budget. Maybe a hardcover book as opposed to an exam pad
And bottled water.
Ooh, bougie.
bottled water. But yeah, thank you for tuning in. Don't forget to like, subscribe, like, unlike, and then like again. And yeah, see you next week.